cybersecurity,
Yeah.
AI community
Why
is
people-
more important than ever.
You want to play? Come on, Dan.
Welcome to Kaseya Connect. I'm Scott Campbell with the Global Technology Industry Association, the nonprofit, vendor-neutral trade association serving the IT channel. And we are in Las Vegas this week for Kaseya Connect. And I am pleased to be joined right now by Scott Barlow, one of the chair of the GTIA Board of Directors, but also, probably more importantly, Chief Evangelist and Global Head of Community and GTM at Sophos. Is that right? Did I get that right?
Yeah, you were close. That was great. That was great.
That was close. All right, so you are somebody who is on the road constantly talking to hundreds, if not thousands, of IT service providers, partners all year long. What are you hearing? What are you seeing, both at this event and in general, that you want to impart to our viewers?
I mean, if I had to sum it up in one word, it would probably be a lot of confusion. I think there's so much hype around cybersecurity. There's hype around AI, a lot of concern around a lot of the new mythos, cybersecurity unveilings and how quickly AI can identify openings and threats and holes within the security tools and platforms out there, but also where MSPs can monetize everything that they're seeing and differentiate between the hype that they're hearing and the actual implementation and operationalization of these deployments, both in cybersecurity as well as AI.
So that brings up a good point. Actually, in our brand new, hot off the presses, State of the Channel 2026 research, one of the things that Carol and April talks about is that AI and cybersecurity have been identified as the top two revenue growth opportunities that ITSPs see for themselves in 2026. But I want to dig a little deeper. Where should they be investing their time, their resources, their teams to take advantage of that opportunity?
Yeah, so the first one would be identity. And so when you look at identity, we look at identity as the new perimeter. And you have, that goes way beyond anything that a lot of these MSPs are implementing today. Same thing with AI. How do you operationalize it? And how do you, get through the hype and say, I'm going to go and implement, these specific tools to help maybe close tickets faster, or, implement my cybersecurity tools, or filter out the alerts and the triggers that they see on a day-to-day basis. I also highly recommend, virtual CISO, virtual Chief Information Security Officer. There's a lot of tools out there. We're coming out with a tool later this fall that will be Sophos CISO Advantage that will enable MSPs to actually go out there and be that virtual CISO for their end customers. Because today there was only, I think, 1 in 10,000 organizations have a CISO. And so it's going to be really important for the MSPs to be able to go and deliver a lot of these tabletop exercises and penetration testing and all of that stuff for their end customer, and be able to orchestrate that with the hardware side, the firewall, the endpoint, the mobile security, the cloud security, all of that coming together under a single umbrella or a single dashboard, if you will, or a single pane of glass. I think it's going to be super important for MSPs, not just to help increase their revenue, but you want to help them improve their operational efficiency and also maximize their EBITDA margin.
And to that point too, like you talked about what MSPs should be doing. One of the things that you guys do a research report too, I think it's an active adversary report, right? And one of the things that came out of that last report that I saw was, I think almost 2/3 of the cases, it was compromised credentials and weak credentials, and in like more than half of incidents, MFA was missing, right? Multi-factor authentication was missing. So can you talk a little bit about the need for that, and let's talk a little about the culture that MSPs need to build too within their cybersecurity team.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have MFA today, I think you've been under a rock, and I'm shocked at the numbers that continuously come out of these reports. Ransomware is still the number one threat that's out there today. Without MFA, if you're an MSP without MFA today, I think AI is going to separate. It's going to elevate the MSPs today that are very strong and successful, and it's going to hurt or destroy the MSPs that are not focused on the outcome, the cybersecurity outcome for their end customers. So yeah, I mean, we talk about obviously MFA, and it's also required from an insurance standpoint if you have cyber insurance, but then, you get a couple layers lower and you look at, phishing simulation. And end users are clicking these links at the same pace as they've been clicking it for the last 10 years. And so end user education, I think, is also equally important as MFA to help, secure that last line of defense, which is the end user.
And about building a cyber culture, what programs or what initiatives or what advice would you have for ITSPs and how to build a better cyber culture within their own organization?
Yeah, I mean, I hate the phrase "eat your own dog food," but eat your own dog food. Obviously, use all the tools. Make sure that you are using MFA and phishing simulation internally. Manage detection and response. It's a table stakes security platform today. Focus on your own cybersecurity outcomes because the MSPs still to this day own the keys to the castle for every single one of their customers, and they are the number one target that's out there today. And so, obviously eat your own dog food, but make sure that you are implementing everything that you are telling your customers that they need internally, and leverage AI. I mean, don't be afraid of AI. I think it's super important, and it's going to help MSPs go and deliver these cybersecurity outcomes cheaper without additional headcount and additional resources.
And in most cases, do it almost before you bring it to customers.
Oh,
right?
100%.
You should do it.
100%. You got to sandbox everything internal to your organization before you go and deliver anything to an end customer.
Yep. All right. I want to talk a little bit about community now. Obviously, you're the chair of the GTIA board of directors. You've been involved in the GTIA and before that community for a long time. Sophos has a big community. How important is community to helping ITSPs, even get better and talking to each other about cybersecurity?
Yeah, I mean, for me, community is the number one thing that we have as an industry. Peer validation is the most important thing. AI is a team sport. It is not something that you're going to go out there and try to figure out on your own. So that peer validation is incredibly important. Community. I've lived my entire career in this community. And you build the deeper relationships, but you also build trust. And people buy from people that they trust. And so from an MSP standpoint, I think a lot of MSPs trust the vendors that are present, that are here, that are helpful, and that will dedicate their time and volunteer their time to just elevating the industry as a whole. And it's all about the ecosystem. We work with a lot of the vendors that are part of GTIA that go to ChannelCon. And we do deep integrations. We do deep integrations with Kaseya, with ConnectWise, with all of the vendors that are part of that MSP ecosystem. And that's probably one of the most important things about this community.
And lastly, the GTIA board of directors held its meeting last week. Just want to find out a little bit about how you thought that went and what would you want to say to GTIA members in terms of what's coming next and where we're going to be focused in 2026?
Well, we talk a lot about a lot of things that I can't disclose. No, I'm just kidding. I think that there's an excitement. We have a very large endowment. The world is our oyster. We need to be very careful not to try to be everything to everybody. And we're being, very laser focused on delivering value and, delivering value in a variety of different ways. First delivering value to the vendors. For ChannelCon, for CCF, for all of the face-to-face events that we have out there, it's incredibly important to be able to deliver value for the vendors, not just in the research, but also in the relationships and the networking, and partner recruitment as well. And then deliver value to the MSPs and the distributors, really across the board. And I think when we look at the executive team, led by Dan Wensley and then, Nancy, Kelly, and MJ, working with them directly to identify both as a vendor and as a GTIA member, but also as the board of directors, what will deliver that value. And we explore a lot of strategic directions that we can go. And the best thing is we all have great relationships on the board, and it's a very collaborative opportunity. But there's a tremendous amount of excitement, and I think that GTIA, is and will become stronger, being that IT community that the entire IT channel goes to.
And even just GTIA on location is one of the examples
100%.
of the initiatives where we're looking to provide more value to our members, to the vendors, to ITSPs in terms of giving them opportunities to sit down and talk with us, but
Yes.
giving insights and advice to for them to make their business better.
And I
So-
honestly watch a lot of the GTIA on location. My only gripe is the height of the stools. I know that you can put your feet squarely on the ground, but I can't. I'm over here like this. But yeah, this is a great initiative, and there will be a lot more initiatives coming as well.
All right, Scott, I can't thank you enough for being part of GTIA on location and being all you do for GTIA. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you for being part of GTIA on location. Again, we're at Kaseya Connect this week. Check out our YouTube playlist, and we'll be back soon with more content.